Go for it. Action, activate.
Hi there, ho there. What's going on? It's me, Gazbot, and we're here today for Action Activate. And with me, as always, of course, is
Big Dawg Defender. Also coming at us today, third person, Mr. Steve the Baboo Andreno. How's it going?
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Steve.
So do you want me to introduce the episode?
Yeah. Well, I want you to introduce yourself, man, because, longtime viewers of our show know who you are. Power Rangers fans probably know who you are. But just in case someone's like, who is this guy? Just tell us who you are.
All right. Well, my name is Steve Andreno. I was the actual suit actor for the character of Baboo for all of season 2. So we decided to help out these guys today and review some of the classic episodes from everybody's favorite season. Well, except Big Dog, because we know his is Operation Overdrive.
That's true. As a matter of fact, he always likes to refrain. And
Operation Overdrive is my favorite season.
We have that just in case we ever
forget. You guys reminded me. I had a prop that I was going to bring, but I might have to grab it in a little bit because I totally forgot once I got all set up.
Well, that's okay. I have a prop too.
Yours is more relevant. Mine not relevant at all.
All right. Well, we haven't talked about what episode we're going to watch.
The episode viewing. Right. Okay. So we are going to be doing a classic MMPR episode.
Yes.
Although technically I'm not in this one. You'll understand when we get to it, but we are going to be doing The Wedding.
Dun, dun,
episodes
dun.
101, 102, and 103.
Now, we're not doing all of those today, though.
Of course. This is part 1, which, like I said, the actual first episode that I really have no appearances in whatsoever.
But aside from being a charming, entertaining fellow to watch along with us and everything, you have some behind-the-scenes knowledge that
Yes, I do. So, season 2, Saban decided to create an American-only villain, which we all know is Lord Zed. So why did Rita come back? Well, first off, the prop here. This is the TV guide from July 9th through 15th of 1993. This is the week that's episode 1 of season 2 aired.
And what is a TV guide?
TV guide, yes. For those for those of you not quite as old as Gaz or myself, back in the day, kids, you used to have to buy a magazine at the store to tell you what programs were going to be on what channels at what time. And they used to do feature articles on new shows coming up, and they had a big article on Power Rangers, included all the original Rangers, and talking about some of the new villains. And they introduced the new head villain, Lord Zed.
Right.
We get the picture here they used for that.
It's a good picture.
So this is Zed. And I don't know if y'all remember, the show actually debuted in primetime.
I did not remember that, actually.
I didn't either.
I remember. I watched it on Saturday mornings usually.
IMDb is a big help because I didn't.
Yeah. Okay.
But now there was a question in the TV guide. They actually asked Saban, why did you have to create a new villain? Did you run out of Rita footage? Now, I'll be honest, I have not seen the original Z Ranger episodes, so I don't know. In the interview, Saban was
and there was only one season, and while they maybe could have pulled, they're gonna run out the same way they ran out of Green Ranger. There's only so much footage.
Well, Saban made a point of, and that was always my belief, but I finally actually read the interview. It's like, oh no, I've got plenty of footage. We didn't need to do this. It's actually costing me more money to have, make the suit and then have to have a smoke on the set all the time and this and that, which I found very odd because, like I said, I had the book but never really read it.
Right.
I always thought it was because they had run out of footage and they needed something new. Well, this debuts in primetime mid-July 13th. We actually started filming for the wedding episodes, a 3-part episode in mid-October
Okay.
of 93. So
That seems quick.
show's been going on, this is episode 41 of the season.
Yeah, you guys cranked through this first couple seasons.
It was nonstop.
Yeah.
But the thing was, debuted in primetime. Zed was a hit, but word started to get back to the studio that Zed was too scary.
Mm.
And as an adult, I understood that. I look at, oh my God, it's all muscle. It looks like his skin's been cut off. That's kind of scary for little kids. But then I thought about it, and actually I was talking with my wife about it again the other day. It's like, with a kid, they're not looking at offensive muscle. They're just looking at it's a red-looking monster. That's it.
That's true.
They didn't get it. Oh my God, this is too much. This is too scary. So the thought was to bring back Rita to kind of set it up more as a honeymooners couple where they're always kind of fighting with each other and ragging on each other. More Rita getting the better of Zed than the other way around.
Right. To take the edge off of his scariness.
Exactly. To make him less scary, make him more bumbling, make him a little more goofy, a little more the butt of the joke, as opposed to this, horror movie along the lines of a Freddy Krueger or Michael Myers or Jason.
You know who I always said he looked like? A couple. Well, there's many years back now, but one of the last Jason movies was called Jason X, and he was in space, and it was the only one I ever saw in the theater, actually. And he starts off looking like Jason, but then he gets this thing, and he gets like a silver helmet, and he kind of looks like Lord Zed, or Lord Zed looks like him.
Very chromy, yeah.
Yeah, so I always think like, oh, well, like Lord Zed, the Jason came later, but it's always like, oh, well, Jason saw Lord Zed and said, I'm going to update my look and kind of.
Right. Now, the other reason for
Seems
doing
like that's
this,
not what happened.
The other reason for doing this at this time, when we filmed the monster parts and the moon-based parts for the episode, all the Rangers were still in Australia filming the movie. They were well behind on filming the movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Movie. To you about this before, but we used to get what's called sides. So this is what the actors on set would get at the start of the day, so you know who needs to be there, what scenes you're shooting, what time things supposed to happen. In this particular call sheet, it doesn't have the episode numbers at all. It just says scene numbers.
Okay.
Which is the only ones that are like this because they really didn't know kind of where they were going to have to stick this in.
Yeah.
How much they were going to get done, whether it was actually going to be. I mean, I guess they knew it was going to be part of second
season.
But it was kind of, July it debuts. All of a sudden, we're getting some bad feedback. Which kids didn't care, but the parents are starting to get a little upset.
Right.
You'd already heard that the show was too violent for little kids in the first place.
And now it's
supposedly
scary.
all the kids in the playgrounds were fighting about stuff. No, they weren't. And actually, if you do some digging, John Stossel of 2020 did an actual segment about Power Rangers at that time, about talking to kids and talking to kids psychologists and stuff, and to find that if it really was too violent, if the kids were really acting this stuff out,
right,
they were acting out being the good guys. They weren't beating each other up.
Right,
I
remember
shots of them like pointing at the wall or kicking at the wall.
I also remember a rash. Well, rash is the wrong word. A wave of children signing up for martial arts class, including somebody sitting over here. So, like, to me, that's good. It's getting kids in a disciplined, athletic. Like, that's a good outcome if everybody wants to take martial arts. Like, what's wrong with that?
Yeah, it was definitely, like, from the kid perspective of it, it was something, obviously I didn't know all of these details until well later, but it's one of those things that all of these inherent bad things are things that kids don't think about. Yeah, I want to be the superhero. Yeah, this and that. And then in the show specifically, I mean, when you look at season 1 and most of season 2 and some of the specials they did, the Green Ranger had a specific video that you had to buy where he taught you karate and told you all of these things of, like, don't use it against people. Do this, discipline, like all these good lessons, and then people at a glance look at it and it's like, oh, video games are corrupting the youth. Like, it's that kind of knee-jerk reaction of not actually having context. So that always frustrated me even as a kid.
Yeah,
Agreed.
because especially Mighty Morphin, because they were the most goody two shoes
Like
ever.
you literally couldn't construct better people. Like
Yeah.
they were written to the T. It was a Mad Lib of like, all right, we need another adjective and activity that they do that just makes them hard to beat. All right, 3 of the Rangers stop protecting the world. Why? Because they protect the world not as Rangers. Okay, what do we get? 3 more people to protect the world and also pick up the slack for their recycling programs, street fairs, and homeless shelters. Okay, let's go.
Yep.
Every little thing. So yeah.
And of course, Bulk and Skull always had something go wrong every episode. The bad guys got punished every episode by falling, having stuff dumped on them. All
their plans always backfired in some
the
way.
time.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
They were very particular about wanting to do that.
Yeah.
Well, so it seems like we agree that Power Rangers was not a bad influence.
Yes. Here.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Well, that being said, do you guys want to dive into the episode proper then for a little bit?
Do it.
Okay,
Let's go.
Let me flip this here. That's just me. And there's everybody. So I made a little slideshow because if we actually play the episode, we will get a copyright strike. But we've all watched it ahead of time, and this will just help jog our memory. So, well, you know what? This might be interesting. I don't know. I'm kind of putting you on the spot here, Steve. But I haven't watched a Mighty Morphin episode since we did our review where they crossed over with Kamen Rider or Masked Rider, and before that it had been a couple of years. So I just had a kick watching the old theme song and stuff. Like I hadn't seen that in a while. And then I just took screenshots as each of the actors came up. Now I know you weren't like best friends with these people, but do you have any interest in just giving like a little your impression of like, oh, here's what I always thought of them, or any kind of little, or is that I know we didn't talk about this ahead of time, so if you're not into it, that's fine.
No. I mean, everybody was fun to work with.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can tell you watch the episodes. It's not Shakespearean level acting. Let's be honest.
Right.
It's kid show. It's soap opera level. Everybody was fun. Everybody was there to do it. Yeah, it was a grind, as we were talking about off camera earlier. It just didn't stop. There was always. I mean, we're writing episodes halfway through the debut of the airing of the first episode. It just was nonstop. So the kids didn't get a break.
Right.
I mean, everybody was, but for the most part, everybody was happy to be there. Everybody understood what they were doing. Right. Everybody understood that. Although looking back, you make a lot of them, you can say they were underpaid for what they did. I agree. Right. I understand. But by the same token, they were also,
which is why some of them left
young
after
20-year-olds who realized, look, all of a sudden, I'm worldwide famous. I mean, it was a worldwide phenomenon.
Oh, absolutely.
It wasn't just even here in the States. So it's like, you know what? I'll put up with it. I'll do. And like I said, you've met most of these people at the cons. Right. They're just as nice at the cons as they were 25 years ago.
Gotcha. Well, who had the worst BO is what I really wanted to know, because they they must have been sweating a lot.
That would be anybody that was in suits.
Oh, so you'd be a contender in that one
suits,
then.
Yeah, definitely. I'll say the worst was probably.
Gotcha.
Oh, definitely would be. I would say the worst would probably have to be Ed Neal, who was the suit actor for Lord Zed. He was actually also the Red Ranger stand-in for a lot of shots.
Gotcha.
They made the suit specifically for him, and literally they had to powder him down to get him into the suit.
Yeah, and like a lot of the suits, like yours, you can see the face, and a lot of them have little holes and stuff. But I couldn't imagine that there's like nowhere to get out. I mean,
there was a little bit of air coming in through the way
with the visor.
Visor was set up, but it was you zip them into the suit to start the day, and you're in the suit until we break lunch. That's it. You take it off for lunch. After lunch, get back in, and you're in the suit until we'll cut. Wrap for the day, not cut. Go back. That suit never came off of him.
Gotcha.
Right. And then what? He just have like a straw or something to drink, I guess.
Well, no, I mean the head came off, so he could
just the suit itself.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Gotcha.
Yeah, but from here down, he was in it from the moment they called us on to set till it was lunch break, until the moment we got called back onto set till the time to wrap for the day. And you work a 12, sometimes we work 14-hour days.
Yeah, that's rough. That's rough. I imagine it's a thing where they empty like 3 gallons of sweat out of the suit at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, one thing, there was a little extra in case there was some kind of an emergency. Mm-hmm. The reason he had the little chrome cod piece.
Oh, for that kind of emergency. Gotcha.
Yes.
That makes sense. I want a chrome codpiece for that kind of emergency.
You would have one anyway. You just love anything chrome.
I
That you
do. I am a sucker for chrome.
Understandable.
So this is part one, and it is just called The Wedding. And here we have, was this guy the principal or?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
I
forget
love,
his name off the
me
top of my
too.
head though.
Yeah.
I speak at the top of your head. I know that he had a toupee, and I'm not just saying that to be mean, because I remember there was an episode where he actually lost it. But I love that it's like he had it all the time for like maybe one joke once. You know, like I don't know. I appreciate that commitment to making him kind of like a cartoonish character.
Yeah, it came off in the Pudgy Pig episode because it fell in the punch bowl, and I remember specifically him wringing it out.
There
and,
you go. Yeah.
sloppily putting it back on.
But he thinks he's fooling everybody. Some of the stuff I was noticing this time around was less story and more just the way like the staging and stuff. Like this is the shot of the class, and if you notice, it's all 5 Power Rangers
I
and
know.
Bulk and Skull in the same class, all sitting next to each other. Like, what are the chances of that? Like 0. But like, I guess just you have to shoot it that way. But and that's the kind of stuff you never think of when you're a kid or even the first time you watch it. But like. Yeah, coming back to it, I was just like, and again, they're in high school, and in high school you go to different classes and stuff. So the chance we're all in English at this time. We also and Bulk and Skull, who don't even like them, have to sit next to them. Like I don't know, I just thought it was funny.
Yeah, little things like that are pretty humorous.
I mean, I could see if it was a real small, more rural school, I get it, but they make Angel Grove to be this huge city where
4 people.
Yeah.
and again, you've seen the juice
Yeah.
bar, we've seen other shots of the hallway where it's just packed with kids.
Right. Yeah. And again, I understand from a production point of view, but just similarly, they say that everyone's going to Australia for this. It was a speaking competition, I think it was.
I think
Nobody
like an
remembers.
English competition.
They're going
Yeah,
to
it was-
Australia for some school
It
competition.
was to,
Yeah.
it was to represent the school for something.
Right.
Yeah.
And I love that they're at the train station and Ernie is seeing them off. None of their parents, because most of their parents we don't know or saw. Like,
Wah, 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 wah,
right.
wah, wah.
And again,
Power Rangers or Peanuts? What are we going with?
but it is one of those things where you don't think about this when you're a kid. But as an adult, because you're just like, well, we know Ernie. Of course, Ernie would see them off. He's their buddy. But as an adult, you're like, why is the guy at the juice bar saying goodbye and none of their families? It's just
If there's one thing we learned from this era of Power Rangers and Power Rangers for Beast Morphers at the last episode, the parents don't care about any of the kids and they
Right.
show up conveniently.
that's true. Also, okay, all the goody two shoes
Well,
going
even
makes
if
perfect
they
sense.
wanted to,
Yeah.
and Bulk and Skull.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yes. And Bulk and Skull, which
Right,
so
right.
that lets me believe that there's no merit. It's not a merit-based trip.
No,
because
definitely
clearly
not.
they weren't doing anything to earn this.
They snuck in.
Well, again, as I had said earlier, they were actually in Australia. That scene was filmed in Australia. So even if they
Right.
wanted to have their parents there, they would have to fly actors in who played them in the
True. Although they probably could have got away
Yes,
with
to
having
the U.S.
any
for one little scene. They're like, nah, save money. Ernie's going to save money.
Fair.
Yeah, well, and nobody's gonna and like the bigger picture
Well,
is that nobody
you
is gonna
say
say
that
anything,
now.
especially the target audience. Yeah.
True.
I say that now. I think we lost something there.
Yeah,
I heard there for a second. Said you say that now, but we're going to see coming up in the episode where they did make it a point to try to make something make a little more sense and have a little more continuity.
Okay, well, we'll see when we get there. We established they're going to Australia, and then we cut back to Lord Zed. Oh, and also Zordon. They checked in with Zordon, and coincidentally, all the Rangers are leaving town, but Zordon has his 100-year recharge, so he's
No,
going to.
Zed does.
What did I say?
Zordon.
Oh, I'm sorry. Zordon said that Lord Zed will have his 100-year
Yeah.
Zordon
recharge. Yeah.
knows that Zed does.
Exactly. Yeah. Zed has his
Yes.
MacGuffin nap,
Yeah.
and everybody goes to Australia.
Which I love though, because like, okay, fine, convenient. It lets us know that they're not abandoning their responsibilities. But what I love is that Lord Zed uses his vision and he goes, "Oh, the Rangers are leaving Angel Grove. Oh, this would have been my perfect time to attack." Which, again, in the continuity of the show and as a kid watching it, yeah, okay, that makes sense that he'd be upset he can't attack Angel
Yeah.
Grove. But it also brings to mind of like, why does he have to attack Angel Grove? There's a whole planet. If them being on Australia makes Angel Grove vulnerable, them being in Angel Grove makes Australia vulnerable. Like just attack wherever
Yeah.
they're not. That if that's the thing. So I don't know.
Also, I can't do any of this. I have to take a nap. Too bad or Goldar or Baboo or Squat. Nobody else can do anything. It's
Yeah.
just me or it's nothing at all.
I buy that though, because he's a power mad, control freak. I'll buy that one.
Well, you're not
So then
gonna,
we cut
you're
to a
not going to
shot
trust
of
Squat and Baboo to do anything. Let's be honest. They're not going to come up with a master plan.
I've
Unless-
been reading too much comics, so I'm
unless you
balanced out.
want it to get done, because as you've pointed out, more often than not, they accomplish the tasks given to them.
Well, this is true, but their thinking is Squat and Baboo are just a bunch of toddlers. We can't let them do anything.
True. I guess
And-
that's the thing.
and-
He's the only one that could come up with the plan, and he doesn't trust anyone else to have a plan. He just trusts them to go do it.
Fair.
And it's not like this MacGuffin hasn't been used before in say Marvel comic books with Odin Sleep.
Oh,
yeah.
true. Well, that one at least has to do with him expending a lot of energy. Zed's is just like, oh, it's been 100 years already. Wow, I am exhausted.
To be fair, Zed does expend a lot of energy, just rah, 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 just like all the time.
True.
But he's on the moon. The Power Rangers are in Australia. For some reason, we cut to space. Why are we cutting to space?
Oh, look at this poorly CGI
Hmm.
dumpster.
Oh, what could
Is
that
it a-
be?
I mean, it looks like a garbage can, but it does feel like I should call it a dumpster.
It's a cookie.
And then,
I would say so.
and then inside we see Rita, who we haven't seen for half a season now.
And
I
there
guess.
we have my Empress.
Yeah, I want to say it's been at least a half
Yeah,
season.
Go for it, Steve.
It's actually been since the first really episode of this season. It might have spilled over a
Okay.
little bit into episode 2 with the mutiny, but really that was it. And they
Okay.
actually brought back the actress that played her in that episode, in the mutiny episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And again, they always shot her either from behind or long shot like this, so you don't get a good look at her.
Well, that's what I was
face.
going to ask.
Yeah.
And we're talking about Carla Perez is her name, correct?
Correct.
And so she was the American face of Rita, the way you were the American face of Baboo. But
Exactly.
Barbara Goodson did the voice for both versions, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So now we're looking at Carla, but just from
We're
very
looking
far away.
at Carla now. Yes.
Okay.
Because for the mutiny episodes, any close-ups they used original Japanese footage.
Correct.
All
Yeah.
right.
Otherwise, it was her from behind, bowing to Lord Zed
Right.
when he got on the throne.
And
Maybe
we do
a
see
side shot, real long shot, so you couldn't get a good look and see that she
Right.
was 20-something years old as opposed to 60, 70 years old or however old Rita was supposed to be.
Was she that old? I thought the actress was like 40 or 50.
I
Maybe
thought
she
she was
just
a little older than that.
Maybe she just looked good for her age.
It's
I
the
don't know.
wig.
If she was quite a bit younger, I apologize.
I'm not sure. I know she's no longer with us, so she's not going to
Right.
hear this. So, but here is then we cut to a plane, because the Rangers are now actually landing in Australia, which of course means the first thing they have to see is the Sydney Opera House, because that's the one thing everybody knows, including me. I wouldn't know what anything else. But what I love. And it's funny because people talk about comedy a lot, and the more modern comedic characters, and Bulk and Skull, this and that, and I hate to say it, but I keep coming back to Bulk and Skull were just better. I think the actors are good, but we have modern actors that are good. This is me speculating, and maybe Steve, you could weigh in a little on this, but I feel like Paul and Jason Narvi had more freedom to just do stuff, because it feels like the two of them just goofing around, having fun, throwing lines out, and it seems to work because the two of them feel like friends that are just goofing around, whereas a lot of the other ones, it just feels very scripted no matter how good the actors are.
They definitely had more freedom of coming up with their own goof stunts and what was going to happen.
Right.
I even remember one episode where we filmed on location in season 3 when the Tengas were brought on board to do some stunt falls where they fall, from off camera, fall down. They were actually up on about a 6 to 8 foot scaffold, falling off of it onto mats and working with the stunt people to work on that.
That's awesome.
So they definitely had more freedom.
Yeah.
There's also a quote, a saying from the acting world, if you will, that I've heard several times.
Mm-hmm.
Comedy is easier to do, but it's harder to do well.
That makes a lot of sense. Because anybody could fall over, but how are you going to make it work?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
And this is not an example of a huge big pratfall thing, but it was a line that I liked a lot, and it might have been scripted or not, but they're all going, oh, the Cine Opera House ball. Well, they don't say, they go, oh, here we are, and there's sort of like ambient noise, and there isn't real dialogue, but underneath everything, kind of low, you hear Skull go like, hey, Bulky, what's that building? And Bulk's like, how should I know? What am I, an architect? And I just thought, like, I don't know, it made me laugh. Like,
just little things like that.
yeah, just like a throwaway.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing. It wasn't like a big zoom in onto his face. What am I, an architect? Fart. It was just like a little background throwaway. These guys are always being goofballs, and it, like, the understated nature of it put a smile on my face. Whereas I feel like in later episodes, if that joke was there, it would have been like, then he slipped on a banana peel and fell into the water, and also, like, it just would have been way overdone.
Like, my go-to of like how to do this wrong is Victor Amonte, where, to your point, it's so just forced and scripted that you're like, it doesn't work. And then we get Ben and Betty, and it's like, oh, it feels natural. Oh, this is somebody writing it like that again. Okay.
I'm trying to think of another comedy duo that, not even saying they're better or worse or whatever, but that has come out as successfully as Bulk and Skull. And Bulk and Skull also had the advantage of having several seasons to refine the characters and stuff.
Yeah.
But I understand why they keep trying to do it, but it always misses the mark. Sometimes by a little, sometimes by a lot. And
like, there's not that many. Like, you bring in Dr. whatever his name is in
Phlebotomist? No.
Yeah.
Phenomenus,
yeah, he's okay. Lieutenant Stone kind of does his own stoic, dry humor.
I like Lieutenant Stone.
Stone was good. I like him.
He's fine. Like, he grows on you after a while.
Yeah.
And then in the later seasons, you have Mick from Ninja Steel on the hero side.
I love Mick. That he's my favorite part of that whole season.
Yeah, well, to be fair, that season has.
I'm saying it in a positive
diamonds
way.
In the rough.
I am saying what I like about that season. You notice how I'm saying that?
I know. And then I think his character in SPD, whose name I'm totally forgetting off the top of my head, is also a good. He was who I would put as second place. Like Kelson, forgetting his last name.
Henderson?
I think you're right.
Yeah,
I would say is the closest we've had to Bulk and Skull, like, and like kind of following in the footsteps. The best.
He's an individual too. Being a team is even harder because then you need two people that can work off each other. But we're getting way in the weeds here.
What? We don't do that here. Let's look at this cool little throwback green headpiece, even though he's the White Ranger.
I was gonna say, you don't see that.
I was gonna say that too. We all thought the same thing.
Well, another thing to Steve's point earlier of things being shot out of order, I have a feeling this was shot when they were also doing the next two-parter, Return of the Green Ranger, where he has to play both characters.
Again, shot at the same time. I'm sure they shot a lot of that in Australia too. So again, when we work on a show, there are days that I would go in and we're shooting 5 or 6 different scenes from 6 different episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always you just shoot what's in front of you and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
With the actors, there's got to be some kind of wardrobe continuity there, but that's what you'll find most common as goofs in movies. If somebody forgot, you shot a scene on one day and then forgot, 2 days later you forgot to have this in this spot, and you put it in this spot, or he had the bandana folded in half instead of all the way up, or whatever. It's little things like that.
Yeah. So there's and the other thing is they showed a shot of that building and then this boat, and like I realized there's the bounty. Like I realized other than the Opera House, I was uncertain if these are famous landmarks or not. It's like, oh well, I know they're in Australia, and the rest of this could have been shot in New Jersey for all I know. I have no idea. But then we cut back to Angel Grove, and Zordon is just like, okay, everything's cool. Zed's doing his sleep. And Alpha's like,
freaking out.
I'm missing the Rangers, and then he's like, go for a walk there, dude. Like, chill out. Everything's fine,
Go use the morphing grid to plant some flowers, all right?
Yeah.
Take some time.
Jumping ahead a little bit, but yes. Because before we see that, we see the dumpster / garbage can heading towards the moon, and we see Zed getting ready to go for his sleep while it's getting ever closer.
I loved that electric thing they used to like show an energy flow, because now watching as an adult, I'm like, that is the perfect way to use that ridiculous thing that you just run your finger around to catch electricity.
I hate it. I hate it for the exact
You
same
do?
reason.
Oh, this
on
is
sale
the
now at Hot
weirdest
Topic
thing.
for $29.95.
This is why I disliked it. People use props however they can. They buy things and repurpose them. But around the time this was on, that was for sale at Hot Topic, and it's probably still on sale now. But it was like new at or Spencer's
Yeah.
Gifts or whatever in the mall,
Something.
and that sort of technology had been around for a while. Like it used to be a ball and other things, but it had come out like the flat screen version had come out, and they used it on everything. They had it in a Star Trek movie, the one with the Borg, First Contact, and they had it in this. And everywhere I saw it, I'm like, they didn't redress it enough. It was just clear they just bought it and stuck it on the set.
They
And
put
it was
a Z on it. What more did you want?
well, no, but I'm putting them in company with a Star Trek motion picture, so it's not like Power Rangers was the one doing it. Like everybody was like, it's a little more acceptable for Power Rangers to do it than Star Trek, in my opinion. But
Agreed.
it was a thing where it was one of the first times I remember noticing a prop being something I could just go buy. You know what I mean? And not only that, but I noticed it everywhere for like 2 or 3 years. Every science fiction anything had this in it, and every time I saw it, I'm like, it would just take me right out of it. So. Similarly, when I watched it now, they put the Z in it and stuff, but I just brought me. I'm not angry about it now, but it brought me back to when I was younger. I was like, "Oh, that's
really? You're not
thing.
angry about it now?" Because I noticed 2 minutes and 15 seconds of a rant. But I see. This is weird. Usually it's the exact opposite, where I'm upset about something for a ridiculous reason. You're like, "No, it's great because it's goofy and I love it." And this is, I think, the first time I know of where it's 100% reversed, and I am dumbfounded.
It's true. Well, it is goofy and campy, and I love that stuff. But again, I'm channeling my however old self when I first saw this.
I just imagine teenage Gaz walking around the mall with his pants that are really baggy, a chain wallet, and just pockets full of nothing, going, "Oh, another one of those things. I hate them."
Yeah, basically describes me now.
You didn't change much. You just kind of, remained.
I have shorter hair. I used to have like long Kurt Cobain hair. That's the main difference.
I think you were edgier back then. I'm going to go with a little more punk nature in the 90s versus Gazbot now.
This has nothing to do with Power Rangers, but I went through an evolution where I got a little angsty and withdrawn kind of in high school. And then when I hit my 20s, then I was angry punk Gaz, who was just like wanted to smash the world. And then by the end of my 20s, I was pretty much how I am now.
So what you're saying is, in short, bringing it back,
yes.
This was too mainstream a prop for you, which is why you didn't like it.
Yeah. The man would have bought this one. They sold out and they got it. Like,
darn you, Spencers! That was actually not a good Goldar, but it was close as I could get.
Oh, I didn't know that was Goldar.
I just looked at Goldar and then, I don't know, something channeled in me. Darn you, Rangers!
That's much better.
Much better.
Yeah, the first one I didn't even know what you were going for. I thought you were
it was just, angry Gazbot Goldar Hanks voice. Chromie Chrome Zed taking a nap. Let's bring it back.
Yeah, so he's taking his nap. There's the close-up. They did put a Z on it. You're right about that, Steve. So I misspoke. They did do a... So now we come back to Australia.
Oh, I loved this bit. This made me think of the good Ben and Betty bits that I like, and this is what started it all. Oh, it was so good.
Go ahead, go for it, Big Dog. Tell us what you like.
So they go to a restaurant, and they are kind of fish out of water, literally, as the joke will commence, even though it's a crustacean. So they're trying to figure out what to order. They first want to go with a burger, then Skull doesn't really know what he wants, and they're like, wait. And then something possesses them to just say random things in Australian accents and think it's going to, I'll take a lobster, mate. She's like, all right, cool. Like, very accommodating, very nice. Like, yeah, I'll get you a lobster. Oh, yeah, extra fresh off the barbie. And it's like, all right, cool. And they're like, oh, and then the thing I like is, and this I assume is ad-lib too, is them critiquing each other on their accents that they just did on the spot of like, it's like mate
it's not g'day, it's g'day.
There we go. Oh, g'day. Yes. Oh, okay,
G'day.
cool. I loved it. I loved everything about it, and I love the punchline that we'll get to later.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was very good and fun. And then we see Rita crashing on the moon, and then the Rangers see, like, what was that? Something weird going on? And they're like, well, we'd hear from Zordon, wouldn't we? I'm sure everything's fine.
I think my bright red vest heard it crash from here.
Well, Rocky really did have a terrible. I mean, they all kind of had dated.
No, his was the worst of everyone's wardrobe. I'm sorry.
I feel like they.
Yes.
I feel like they just so wanted to make sure. Like, remember, he's the Red Ranger. He's the new Jason. He's the Red Ranger. Like, they were afraid like you'd forget or something.
And
I don't
then
know.
like a quarter of the way in, they're like, forget it. Just let Tommy lead. Like, what's the point? Don't even let him roll call anymore. Just let Tommy do it.
Oh, poor Rocky. There's Aisha. Yeah, but yeah, all of them. Because yeah, look at Aisha and Kimberly. They look okay. Like everybody looks okay. Like a little dated because of the time. But yeah, he just yeah.
That is such
Okay,
a good
so
screen
this is the face he's making because they got the really fresh lobster,
and
which
it's
is alive.
literally alive.
Yeah.
I loved it. And then they're just
And
like the debate of do we try to eat it? Can we even fight it? I don't
Yeah.
know.
And one for the two of them, and it's moving around. Yeah, and I think I got one more. It ended on bulk again. Like there's just
The king of
I love
face
it.
acting, just
Oh, absolutely.
like a fine
That's
wine.
so good. But the two of them together, they didn't cut to Skull. Or those would have grabbed him as well. But even like you can see a little bit there. Pardon me. So then back on the moon, the dumpster / garbage can has finally landed. The Empress has returned to her throne, or not her throne, but her home at least. But when it opens, she's tiny. And I was like, I don't remember her being tiny originally.
I do.
Was she? No. I
Yeah.
mean, when in the first episode of the original.
The first one, she was not. The second
Right.
time
No,
they did it at
not
the
yet.
beginning, she
Right.
shrunk. And then this weird animatronic one, Billy puts her in the dumpster, and then
I do remember that, which is lucky because going back to what Steve was saying earlier, because she shrunk down, it doesn't matter which actress is being used because you can't see her face that well.
that's probably why they kept it.
Yeah. So wait, so you think this is footage? I thought this was New American
Exactly.
footage. Is this
No, this is New American footage, but you don't see her
yeah,
face.
no, that is
right?
New
Oh, you
American.
kept the fact that
Yeah.
she was. Yeah. Okay. So you mean that Big Dog? You mean that they kept the convention that she was shrunk down?
Correct. So you can't
Gotcha.
see her very clearly until
Right.
she, later on in the episode.
Agreed. Then they cut to this shot because she's about to enter. But I just noticed this is the palace. That's the Earth, which you're always looking down on. And this is gonna sound dumb, but this is the very first time I realized it was just painted on a wall.
I didn't realize it until you just told me. So
Okay, well, yeah. Having seen the set, I knew that one.
Yeah,
But
I mean, job well done though, because normally I knew it wasn't really the Earth, obviously, but I didn't know what the effect was or how they were doing it. But normally there's a telescope and there's people and there's dialogue and there's all this stuff going on, so you're not really paying that close attention to it. But it was an opening shot of just this for like a second or two, and I'm like, wow, that is really obviously just a painting. And how did I never notice that before? But they pan down, and now we see little Rita, and again, assumedly that's Carla Perez, but we can't tell because she's so small, so that works.
yeah, they just green screen that on there to kind of keep her small to make it look, they're not building a whole new set, oversized just for one shot. So everything with her small was green screen.
That makes sense. And then we cut to Finster's lab, and it starts off on this clock, which I never, again, noticed when I watched it normally, that the clock is just low noon, medium noon, high noon, and no noon.
You know what I just noticed? And then they were like, we need another clock. Just flip one upside down next to it on the left.
Yeah. I think there's another clock, too, that's also upside down. But now I want a clock that is just what type of noon it is. I think that's fantastic.
That's a very you thing.
Oh, yeah, see here. This one's also upside down. Wait, it's a very me thing to want a clock that says noon.
Well, hey, what time is it? I don't know. Let me overcomplicate it. Gaz, what time is it? Oh, it's middle noon. Oh, it's 6.
Okay, you got me, Ninja Steel. So here's Finster, and there's I don't remember if that was a doll or a green screen.
I have a feeling, having not seen Zoo Ranger, that
it was green screen.
that there's a claim either this is all American footage or this is ripped from Zoo Ranger where he's talking to like a clay monster that's
no,
like
this
doing
this
stuff.
is definitely American.
This is 100% new.
Yeah,
Okay,
100%
never mind.
American footage.
Well,
Never mind then.
and a clue aside from the fact that, like as Steve said, she's green screened in. Another clue is that the clock is written in English.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. Ninja Steel.
1
1 for 1. We're tied up.
All right. So he's like, my Empress, I'm so happy. She's like, I don't care, make me big. And so he does. But why is she not? It's odd that she's like facing away from the camera, right? Going back to what Steve was saying.
Yep.
And then what I thought I
Exactly.
found very odd, I didn't capture it, but she hugs him, which again was probably to
They
cover
do
the
it
face.
twice too.
Yeah.
Which is,
Yeah, exactly.
the first
And
time
that's so
I was
out
like, whatever. The second time I'm like, you can't say, "Oh, you measly scoundrel," hug.
It's the same exact shot.
Oh, I know it was repeated. I just don't know why they included
it's so
it
out
again.
of character.
Fill time. Really, that's all I could think of.
I guess, but I mean, this episode had a lot going on. It's not like they needed to fill time. Like I was surprised how much was packed in here. So now we cut to him talk about making monsters, and he's going to help her, and he's so happy to have
Zoo
her back.
Ranger footage again.
Clearly, yeah. I wish I could
Yes.
remember the actress name. I want to say it's like Masaoki.
It is. It's Machiko. Give me a sec.
Machiko Mutadu. Give me a sec. So that's the actress.
Machiko Soga.
Machiko Soga is the original actress, and this is her. So this presumably is from either an episode they didn't use or one that they're hoping kids don't remember.
I'm also wondering, when they did Zoo 2 footage, was it with the villains also, or is it just Rangers and Monsters?
Steve, do you know? I assumed it was just Rangers and Monsters, but I don't know for sure.
Zoo 2. So for season 2, when they ran out of Zoo Ranger footage, they had the Japanese team film stuff and then send it directly to the Power Rangers team to cut it in, so that way they save time using footage of the things like that. Right. But I was curious if you knew if they did it for the villain scenes that weren't action based, or if it was just for action scenes.
I'm not 100% on that. I would assume it would have been just for the action scenes.
That's what I'm
saying. That was my understanding as well, because you wouldn't have to get back like an actress with like this specific actress. You can get anybody that can wear a monster suit,
whatever
or
team.
And if we had Zoo 2 footage, then you wouldn't need to cast Carla Perez, because that would solve that problem.
If there's one thing I learned last week, it's that there's always Zoo 2 footage in perpetuity.
What does that mean?
That Hasbro has this footage forever because they have perpetuity of the footage from Toei.
Okay, so he's referencing an interview we did with Scott Zillner 3 episodes ago. So if you didn't see that, that seems to come out of nowhere. I was in it, and it seemed to come out of nowhere.
Easter egg that even the host can't figure out. Watch Action Activate, everybody. But
you're giving a commercial for the show they're watching.
Hey! Don't change the channel now. We're still going to talk about things over here on Action Activate. So Zoo Ranger footage. The thing I like about this that I missed in Power Ranger episodes that weren't using Zoo Ranger footage, I loved all the little like claymation moving like pre-monsters that Finster had. They have so much charm to them.
Yeah, they're all like, you can tell they have like one motor in them. Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. So he's on board. He's happy to have her. And he's like, what should I make? And she's like, I want a potion. I want a love potion. I'm going to make Zed fall in love with me. And he's like, ooh, you know. But we cut back to the command center. That was an excellent music sting. Thank you. Now Alpha is getting stir crazy, so he's going to go for a walk. And I thought this was really weird.
It's super weird, odd in every sense of the word.
Just seeing Alpha out of the command center, walking around in like a desert, like it's very weird. And you notice how much purple he has in his legs and his head. Like you don't normally notice that, but out here it's like, oh yeah, I guess he got a lot of purple. And then the absolute weirdest part, as Big Dog alluded to, he's like, oh, it's so barren, and I wish there were more flowers. I'll use the morphing grid, and he grows a flower. That's incredible power for Alpha to have. Like
I was going to say, it really just opens the door to, oh, you really had to introduce that as like a footnote? Now you could just solve so many problems, and we're just never going to talk about it ever again.
I want a comic book issue about Alpha using these powers like the way Poison Ivy would, to just like create walls of vines and like defeat enemies and defend the command center.
That actually would have been cool in the Power Rangers Justice League crossover if that was like a footnote of like, I'm here. Instead of just, Alpha playing soccer with a little boy and then getting in trouble. Like,
I didn't read it, but I will trust you.
No, that's not from the comic. That was an episode of Power Rangers.
Oh, okay.
Alpha runs away, finds the little boy. They play soccer. Chaos ensues.
Yes. But yeah, this is a very big power, and it hints at more power too, because he doesn't say, I have the power to grow plants. He's like, I can use the morphing grid, which is what the Rangers do, which is what Zordon does. So theoretically, he could use the morphing grid to do lots of things, but whatever, he doesn't, because immediately Finster...
Pothole.
Yeah, Finster and a couple putties. I did think it was interesting, because you rarely see Finster out in the field doing stuff, so that was kind of cool. So Finster and the putties show up, and they stick a AOL free trial CD-ROM in his back, and that corrupts him. And
Actually, the new Red Hot Chili Peppers.
oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, featuring Higher Ground, which is one of the hit singles off the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie soundtrack. I don't know if you know this. That's
Well
not
done.
actually true, but the facts about that music
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. That's well done there, sir. So then we cut back to Finster, and this is the hug, the
The
second
hug again.
time. Yeah, which again, yeah, we got to hide her face, but they don't have to have a hug. She could be smacking him. She could be walking out of the room. She could be doing anything. It's so weird.
Storming off, anything.
Yeah.
Playing chess. Who knows?
Yeah, so she's happy to see him back to the command center. Now Alpha's in there and he's acting weird, and Zordon's like, I detect something strange about you. And he's like,
I love Angsty Alpha.
yeah, he's pretty good. He's just like, I don't like anything you have to say.
Like everything that happened with Alpha in all of the episodes, I was like, oh, I love this so much. This is great.
It is pretty fun, especially because he's such a goody two shoes and also a subservient. So to see him kind of like get his own, like, not that he was mistreated, but he definitely like a full 180.
Very. It reminded me of for if you guys watch Smallville, whenever Clark would touch red kryptonite and he'd just be like super angsty and mean all the time. I was like, oh, it's essentially what they did to Alpha. Okay, cool.
Well, they also did that season 1 with Billy and Kimberly.
Yeah. Oh, that was so good too.
So now here are the Rangers. Presumably the actor is actually in Australia, as Steve was saying. And they're going on like a shopping trip or whatever. Now Tommy's back to his full white. And they have 2 hours to go shopping, and they're joking about how Kimberly, that's not enough time for her. Ha ha ha. And then Bulk and Skull are like, okay, we were going to ditch him before. Now let's ditch him. Because, 2 hours of shopping sounds terrible with these nerds. And again, a joke I really like. They say this, okay, they're going to leave. No one's paying attention to them. No one's watching them. They don't have to do anything. And they go, ah! And like run away.
And then everybody still is just like, whoop.
Yeah, it's a terrible plan because they want to sneak away. And to do that, they point and yell and run. So that's a terrible way to sneak away. But also, no one cares. They could have just walked away. So like, I don't know. And that's it. And they don't run and trip over a bucket and fall into a vat of rubber that makes them bounce into the moon or something stupid. That's it. They're just goofballs. And like I don't know. I feel like they'd be fun to hang out with, to be honest.
Yeah. And then I love how they're like, oh, we're going to go shopping. And then, and Kimberly's just like, all of the life just ran out of her face. She's like, and here we go. All right. Where are we going? Zordon, Alpha, whatever.
And where they are going, Zordon will oh, no, it wasn't Zordon. Alpha called.
Yep.
Because Alpha's evil. And Zordon's like, why are you talking to them? And, I wanted to pause here for a second. Alpha told him to go to this place, and Zordon's like, that's not a good place to go. Yeah. Billy and everyone's like, Alpha, are you there? Like, there's no more communication. Billy, oh my God, David Yost. Yeah. David Yost is a very good-looking guy, especially back then without his glasses. He's got the wind hitting him. I'm not saying this because I have a crush on him. I'm just saying he's supposed to be the nerdy, awkward one. And the reason I bring this up is I was watching an interview with Jason Narvi, Skull, who was saying that he originally tried out for the role of Billy because it's like, oh, a nerdy kind of guy and this and that. And he's like, hello, look at me. And then he's like, but who do they cast? David Yost, who looks like he should be on Beverly Hills 90210. He's like the stereotypical blonde, big chin, good looking guy. And they go, well, put glasses on him. And then he's a nerd. He's like, and it was crazy. I mean, I got to be Skull, but and he's right. Like, he would have been a better nerdy character. I'm glad he was Skull. But when you think about it, like, David Yost did a great job. But he kind of was miscast, wasn't he? Like, he's like,
he did a really good job season 1, and then after a while they're like, everybody's good, just do your thing.
Yeah.
you went over that hurdle of being awkward and nerdy, just keep on keeping on.
Yeah, senior year you came into your own. But like I said, this shot I feel like exemplified, because this literally could be like from 90210 or one of those like more glamorous shows.
And I love too, he asks multiple questions to Alpha. Then what happens? Rocky's like, you know what? Maybe if I do it, it'll work. Yeah, Alpha, what's up? And it's like, just Rocky, you're not doing yourself any favors, man. Just be quiet. Just stand there.
Just wait till we get to Zeo. When we get to Zeo, you're gonna thrive, Rocky.
And then let's wait till we get to Turbo, and you're gonna you get replaced by a child. All right, cool. Still burns.
Yeah. But so they're like, okay, let's morph on the way over there. So they all get together and they do the morph in time. And which is I thought was weird because usually they would get there and morph, but like I realized behind the scenes stuff, like as Steve is saying, they're in Australia, so they just did a morphing sequence, and then everything with the Rangers has nothing to do with them, so they didn't want to have to probably match up the background and all that kind of stuff, right? And Steve just yep, okay, got the confirmation, everybody. Now they teleport in, and again, I have not seen that teleport in a long time.
I know, it looks so good, so refreshing.
And they land. I really, really like these scenes.
Yes.
It's weird, kind of like seeing Alpha walking around in a desert. It was weird in kind of a bad way. This is weird in a good way. Like we're seeing the Rangers at a Dutch angle in a dark, spooky. Like you don't see them in they're always out.
They're rarely indoors when they're morphed.
Yes, and it's shot like a horror movie, and it just I don't know. It was really cool, especially knowing that like oops, they're not supposed to be there. So it like again as a kid, it would even give more of a sense of foreboding. But we don't see that happening yet because we cut back to the command center. And we got Alpha and Zordon, and this is where Alpha really starts kicking into high gear. He's kicking the equipment. He's like, this stuff never works, and smoke's coming out. And they do this other weird thing where they basically just sped the film up. Like he's walking around doing stuff, and I feel like this was a shot of another tape where he's like, I'm pressing, but they put it at like 1.5 speed, so he looks like, like
I'm about it. Well done.
I like
then we cut.
Alpha. That gave Alpha a chance to kind of really. Oh, sorry. Gave Alpha really a chance to come out of his shell, so to speak, a little bit.
Agreed.
Absolutely agreed. It would have been cool if he pulled off his helmet and he's just like an angry old man, like, I'm sick of you.
Oh, it was you, old man Smithers.
Would have gotten away with it too, weren't for those meddling kids.
And that's Rocky.
Oh.
Steve, if I ever meet you, I mean all of this in love.
I have met him, and he's a lovely man.
He seems cool. I loved him in Zio.
Yeah, I preferred him in Zio.
He was present in, trying to be a leader, and then when he wasn't a leader, I liked him more.
I don't blame him. I think they just wanted him to be Austin St. John, which was a mistake. They should have just let him do his own thing. And when they did, it was better.
When Rocky was not Jason 2.0,
yes,
much better.
Absolutely.
When he's Jason 2.0, you're like, just take the red vest off, call it a day.
Yeah. So now we come back to more shots of them in this haunted house. And again, like the heavy shadows, like, I don't know who shot this, but I really like what they did. Like, it was so different than everything else you see. And it was just very cool. And again, because it's not just a random episode. It's like, this is a trap. Yeah. And on top of that, then you see this clown.
That clown thing is so
terrifying.
Scary clown.
Yeah, and it isn't even like I thought it'd be like, oh, and they're gonna fight the clown monster. No, he's just like an evil clown he turns to the camera, and like the eyes light up and everything closes. It's just independent of all the monsters they're fighting. There's an evil clown that runs this house apparently. So that's terrifying. Cut back to the moon. We see this is the big moment. We see Finster with this like kind of putty and some cucumbers or whatever. Moon mud. Thank you. Now, I think Steve, do you want to discuss what's going on here a little bit?
Well, yeah. What they're doing now is Finster is putting a facial on Rita to make her younger, so now we can debut her as the actual actress that's going to be in the suit from now on, Carla Perez.
And there it is. Now, go ahead.
Okay. I was going to say, correct me if I'm wrong, but Rita's a sorceress, wizardess.
Yes.
Whatever you want to call her.
Witch,
couldn't make herself bigger. She needed Finster to do that. She couldn't make the love potion. She needed Finster to do that. She couldn't make herself younger. She needed Finster to do that. What does she do?
That's true. Maybe she's just lazy. Maybe she could do it, but she can't be bothered.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, she's relying on potions, which is fine. And for the shrinking thing, my headcanon for it is that because it was a spell that was put upon her, she couldn't break it herself.
Maybe
I'll buy that one.
I'll buy that. Here's another one. Maybe her main power is ensorcering people to do her bidding. So maybe Finster, when they first met, she used a spell. You're going to worship me and do whatever I want. Boonk. And then he does. And similar with Goldar and Baboo, everybody. Like, so her only real power is making people serve her.
So she's Gilderoy Lockhart of the Power Rangers universe.
Sure. Yeah.
We'll go with that.
But so now she's Carla Perez. And I will say, the fact that with the hair and all the makeup and stuff, it's pretty convincing. You know, like obviously it's a different
Oh, yeah.
person, but at a
Yeah.
glance, you're not like, whoa, who is this? Like it's
Yeah.
if it wasn't for all the extra stuff, it'd be a lot more noticeable. So I sometimes wonder if this was necessary because again, as adults we could see, but most kids would they even really notice?
I
Like
probably
with the
would
same
have.
voice, same makeup, same hair.
I
You
would
said
have. I noticed the difference in actress for
you did.
sure as a
Oh,
kid.
okay.
The voice didn't bother me because it was consistent, and it wasn't until I was way older I was like, "Oh, voiceover, there's a thing." Got it.
Right. Okay. So then there you go. Because I wasn't sure because I didn't watch this when I was a kid, so I wasn't sure if it
I
would
will
be
be the
noticed.
resident not thinker
Gotcha.
at the time, and going back in my recesses of my memory, trying to think about what I thought. But yeah, I liked that they threw this in for pretty much everybody because I know, especially for Beast Morphers, we brought it up of like just put in one scene or one line, and then
Yes.
this isn't a problem.
Yes.
And this once again, we're
Yeah.
looking at MMPR. It's like,
You're right.
oh, here's something they did right. Why did we not learn from it? Come on, guys.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
And think about it. They just went through this 18 episodes earlier, give or take, with changing out half of the Rangers. So it's like, let's make
Right.
a story that makes sense with it. Let's not just change it out and ignore it. Let's do something
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah, and they did well.
Yeah. Speaking of the Rangers,
Yeah, well, she got her love potion. Then, speaking of the Rangers, we go back. They still can't contact Alpha or Zordon or anybody. And Alpha's like, haha, shut up, Zordon. How about a mustache? And he's like, Alpha, this is most unusual. Haha, how about some color on your head, stupid? Alpha, please tell me what happened to you. No, have some hair, stupid. Alpha, I believe you've been corrupted. Haha, here's some glasses. I loved it.
everything that Zordon said, I liked until he's like, reboot yourself. It's like, dude, it's a lost cause. Like,
Yeah.
don't tell Alpha to reboot so he stops being like a turd toward you.
But
Just own it.
Zordon would never give up. That's the thing. But I love that Zordon, and obviously we know the way they filmed it. The actor wasn't like there filming this scene. It was just like sort of stock movement. But
Yeah.
I do like that the character is just like completely unresponsive. Like boink boink. He doesn't blink. He doesn't get annoyed or crack a smile. He's just like, it doesn't matter. We have to save the Rangers. Bonk. It doesn't matter. Like it's just completely unfazed by it.
I love continuity wise too. Later on, we go back and they didn't forget. It's still all the goofy stuff on Zordon when they go back to it, which I appreciated.
Agreed. So we cut back to the moon base or the palace rather, and so here is the newly rejuvenated Rita looking at Zed, and she makes the joke that who'd want to wake up to that in the morning, but it's got to be her. So now she's in the room. Yeah. I thought it was funny, weird too, that she's like looking through the window and literally she ducks down and cuts to then she's in the room. Like what kind of, okay,
She's
whatever.
a sorceress, all right?
Yeah. So she could walk through walls by ducking down as well. That's her other power.
I just want to know how she was able to get through such a sophisticated energy source. You know, the thing right there with the electricity, how did she get the potion to work when there's such a great prop and energy source there for her to...
She pours the love potion into the other liquids, completely ignoring the prop that is terrible.
My poking at you definitely didn't work considering I didn't know what screen grabbed you had.
What?
I hate how you literally had the next one. I'll just give you the Ninja Steel point because my trolling did not work.
Thank you. I'm like, this is gonna be so great because I have the answer ready to go as soon as he stops talking. Yeah, here's how it works. So now we cut to Finster, and he's saying, I have to get a bunch of old monsters together. We're going to send out all the classics. It's going to make my mistress so happy, or my empress so happy. I don't know if you call it mistress or empress, whatever. But I thought this was great, and it's a great way to reuse suits and save money. But it's like the greatest hits. Like, oh, we're bringing Rita back? Yeah, let's bring back all the original monsters, like Monster of the Week monsters. We cut to the outside of the house. Again, it's like at a weird angle. It's all lightning. It's like it looks like the beginning of Scooby-Doo. You know, it's great. And then here come, and I don't remember. Wait a minute.
Flytrap.
Invincible Flytrap.
Invincible Flytrap. Is there a specific reason you remember his name so clearly?
Yes, there is, as a matter of fact. In the
Could you
TV
share
guide that I showed you earlier,
Yes.
I actually, for the day of the shoot, they shot, besides the Lord Zed that I showed you, they shot several other monsters.
Mhm.
Invincible Flytrap, Octo Phantom, both of which were me, in addition to being Baboo down there.
Nice.
There you go. I thought so. I kind of forgot that until he showed up. I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah, okay. That's awesome. So, and but all the others, the armadillo. I'm not even gonna try to remember their
Sockadillo.
names. Yeah, okay.
Sockadillo. That one. The other one I think was Snizzard there.
Okay,
Yep.
and then they jumped down. I
Lizard.
did like real quick. We'll have more monsters in a second, but I did like that they use tactics. I know we'll get to that. They use tactics where like we have no room to maneuver. Let's jump down, which is just it's a little thing, but it's like oh yeah, okay, they should jump down. So they jump down, and then they realize they're surrounded by even more monsters, including
I got
guy.
and
Um,
it's the armadillo guy. It's a little blurry. What was his name?
that's Sockadillo.
Oh,
And
Sagadillo.
Rhino
Okay,
Blaster
and
was
then
there
we
too.
got
That one was Sockadillo.
okay,
That's
and then
Grumblebee.
Grumblebee. Yep.
Grumblebee. Okay. This guy's his face is a little smeared, but the bird.
Oh, the pecker guy.
That's Pexter.
Yep.
Okay.
Pexter.
And that's all the ones that I saw. And again, good strategy. The Rangers like, wow, there's like 8 monsters here that took all of us to beat each time. Let's get out of here and regroup. But the teleporters don't work because, as we found out, their powers don't work there. They didn't know this. Zordon was very concerned. Alpha just put things on his face. They said, okay. And he's laughing. He's like, ah, ha, ha, stupid Rangers. Zordon's like, oh, no. And then they're like, let's get our power weapons. And Rocky's like, I can't get my power sword. And they're like, oh, Rocky. But no, nobody could get it. It wasn't just Rocky. Nobody could get it. And
That would
then
be funny if he's like, I can't. They're like, I got my daggers. Yeah, I got my axe. Oh yeah, here's my bow. And it's like,
I
and then the end of Curb Your Enthusiasm plays.
and it's a shot of the power sword like on his couch at home.
Yeah, just Alpha's using it as like a footstand or something.
Yeah.
This really
So-
turned into roasting Rocky out of
I did.
nowhere. I'm sorry.
So they can't communicate, they can't teleport, they can't get their power weapons, and they're surrounded, and they're like, we're in big trouble. To be continued. So this is the wedding part 1, but nothing about the wedding has happened yet. The only thing that's happened is that she's given the love potion. He hasn't even woken up yet. And the worst part of all is that Baboo was not in it for even a second. That is a travesty.
No, I know. Well, technically, I'm in the opening credits of every episode, so that kind of
There you
offsets
go.
it a little bit.
Okay, that's fair. Now, wow, we're already over an hour, so I don't want to go too long. But Steve, you had said that, and maybe I don't know if you talked about this episode, that there was scenes that were shot that were cut. A lot of scenes for the storyline. Were there any that you recall for this episode? That
Not for this particular episode, but for the next episodes coming up.
Okay,
sure.
so maybe
Gotcha.
we'll wait and save that. That's a little teaser for when we do the next ones.
thing
Overall, yeah, good.
Okay. I would say one thing I will say with him doing the rejuvenation chamber,
Yes.
to the best of my recollection, and I haven't watched all of season 2 and 3 in a long
Mhm.
time. The only other time they used his tubes, the actual tubes he's got
Yeah,
going on him, was the mutiny to show that he's got the tubes.
Mhm.
They show the liquid pumping through him in this
Right.
episode, and that's it. Never bother with it again.
Right. I mean, he still has them. There's just nothing in them, I guess.
Well, they kept whatever little blue liquid in there to make it look like there was something in there, but they never referenced them.
Yeah, it wasn't
Right.
a plot point, is what
It
you're
wasn't a
saying.
plot point.
Yeah,
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 anything
yeah.
else.
Makes
Gotcha.
sense. Saving money, as you said. What did you guys think of this? I mean, it's hard for you to be objective, Steve, because like you worked on it. But what did you guys think of this episode just on its own as an episode?
I thought it was good. I think some of the like little nitpicky things are obviously easy to overlook, A, at the time, and B, in retrospect. And kind of like you said, any greatest hits kind of episode where we get some throwbacks, and it's not a flashback episode. It's, hey, remember these monsters? Boom, they're here
Yeah.
in new footage. Like
Right.
that part's cool. Obviously, being able to see how the different monsters interact. And one thing, and I could be wrong on this, so if anybody knows in the comments, let me know. But I feel like in the beginning of part 2, when the Rangers start fighting monsters individually, they used this episode as like a template to pack the micro machines, if I remember correctly. I know that is an incredibly weirdly specific pull, but I remember the little micro machine morphers, at least the one that I had a Pink Ranger one, and I remember she was fighting the Flytrap monster.
So it might
that
have
was
been a
lined up.
way.
Oh,
Oh, that's cool. That's
did
interesting.
not know that.
So
I
I'll
definitely
try
did.
to remember to look before we do.
Do you
part
own any
2.
of those micro machine sets anymore?
I have one, but I'm losing a lot of the little mini pieces.
Because if you could find it to show in the next episode, that'd be really cool.
No,
if
the
you
only
can't-
thing.
If you can't, send me a picture and I'll pop it up.
Yeah, I'm gonna look to try to.
Well, we can
see
talk about that later. Yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, I agree. Steve, I agree. What did you think of the episode?
I liked it a lot. I mean, they did the typical Australia montage scene that every TV show or movie is going to do when somebody travels to a new place. I mean, they tried to do it, with the rules of TV shows at the time. Yes, it was a kid show, but they didn't just automatically assume. Well, they didn't play down to the kids. Really, they did it
Right.
like adults are going to be watching. They came up with, okay, we're bringing Rita back, but we have to make her younger. Let's not just, again, they didn't make her just, I'm going to cast a spell on myself and boom, I'm younger.
Oh,
They
oh,
added
yeah.
that made sense, that there was some continuity with.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought them doing that, bringing back the older monsters was great. My only nitpick with it is, okay, so their powers don't work there,
Mm-hmm.
but they were able to be teleported in.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's fine.
And the monsters were able to be teleported in, but they can't teleport out.
I haven't watched the next episode in years, so like I'm kind of excited because it ends on this cliffhanger, and I honestly don't remember what happens next, so I have a little bit of anticipation. But not knowing what they say next, my assumption is that good powers, the morphing grid doesn't work there because they set it up like this evil haunted house, so evil powers would work, and evil would let good come in. Like, oops, you teleported in, and now you're stuck.
Now you can't get out.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
I like that.
I thought of it that way, and also kind of the thing to save on cost too. But like, I don't know if they mention it in part 3. I know they don't in part 2. But like, if they don't morph, they can't morph again, which is why I think a lot of the like subplot of what the Rangers do in the supplemental episodes are the way they are, as opposed to, we're going to hold our ground here and we're going to fight until everything's done. Like, there's a lot more to what they do than just like, let's do it. Like, as we're used to in classic Power Rangers, quote unquote.
Well, and I think that's one of the things I also like this episode a lot. And I think one of the things that's so fun about it is that it's breaking the mold. It's not a monster of the week that they team up and then beat with the super weapon, and then it gets big and they get in the Megazord. Like, there wasn't even a Megazord battle. And I just realized that now. Like, I didn't even think about that. And we got a little bit of everything. We got a little bit of the bad guys plot. We got Bulk and Skull. We got, the horror. And like I said, that little mini horror movie I love. So yeah, I like this episode way more than I thought I was going to. Because there's like, I know this is blasphemy, but there's some Mighty Morphin episodes that are kind of rough to watch with modern adult eyes.
Oh yeah.
This was not one of them. This was a pleasure to watch. I blew right through it, and I'm looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, if you were going to show somebody like, oh, Mighty Morphin is so dated, here's why, you would probably show something from season 1. If you're like, hey, remember how you loved Mighty Morphin? Here's a prime example of it, and this would be in the highlight reel for sure.
Yes, but wasn't Green with Evil season 1?
I agree with that.
I'm not saying all of season 1.
Okay.
I'm saying if we think back, I think more of the rough episodes are in season 1 where they're figuring out their footing than 2 and 3.
That's probably true.
Again, which is understandable. If you really remember the first few episodes of season 1, they even did more like the comic book Batman type, where they'd have some of the words on the screen when they hit him. They would do the frame to make it look like a comic panel.
I didn't even remember that. They had the words on the screen.
We had a couple of, the BAM and the bit.
I thought that was just in the 2010 remastered of it.
Splatfell or something like that.
I thought this. Was in the original?
I don't.
Well, you know what? Comments below. Let us know who's right.
Yeah. Going back. What I'm looking at them on Netflix, I'm specifically looking at season 1, not the remastered season.
They might have it mislabeled.
Let me rephrase it. When I first started watching the early episodes again, it was on another website.
Yeah, sure.
Which
it might have been mislabeled because I don't remember them having the Biff Pow stuff either. But again, hey, comments, let us know who's right, who's wrong.
Yeah,
claim your own Ninja Steel point below.
I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, in the 2010 remaster, they did that to try to have it appeal more to the younger audiences at the time, and everybody hated it, from my understanding. But
being that I'm a little older, I remember watching the original Transformers, and then a few years later they did Transformers Generation 2, which was the same exact thing, where they took the exact same show and put like CGI boxes around everything, and it was the same thing they did when they with Power Rangers. I'm like, oh, this is what they do with Transformers. No one's gonna like this because the kids at the time are like, this is an old show with weird graphics on it, and the older fans are like, why are they putting weird graphics on the old show? And like, it's just for nobody, and it doesn't age well because nobody is nostalgic for G2 Transformers, and nobody is nostalgic for the second version of Mighty Morphin Season 1. Like, it's just these weird, yeah. But listen, guys, this has been great. We got to do the next two, but we're over an hour, so let's wrap it up. Steve, do you want to tell anybody any secret messages about maybe where they could find you online or what you might be up to?
Okay. Where they can find me online, Facebook is just Steve Andreno.
Mm-hmm.
On Instagram and on
Twitter,
at Baboo Real.
Gotcha.
And as far as what I'm working on, you've already put my little tagline up there. I do have plans, and I said I've been watching some of the original season 1 episodes again to come out. I'm working on coming out with my own YouTube channel, possibly doing it through Twitch, doing a Rangers review type, but doing everything from the point of view of the monsters. Talking about which are the best monsters, origin stories, talking even about the costumes, what they might have been based on. Who had the best chance of defeating the monsters? I mean, defeating the Rangers.
Right.
Who blew it? How many times? Certain catchphrases were said, all kinds of stuff like that. How many times Baboo and Squad actually succeeded in what they were tasked with doing, as opposed to blowing everything and getting blamed for it,
or succeeding and still getting blamed for it.
Also true.
Yeah.
And still getting blamed. Exactly. Cool. And the catchphrase has been for that. Monsters need love too.
Which is why I keep putting it on the screen. Yeah.
So I appreciate that. That's the plan. Then maybe that'll spin off into talking about other monsters, other monster movies. Mm-hmm. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, when it's time, we'll definitely share it with us. We'll definitely share it around and have you back on.
Definitely let everybody know.
Yeah.
I'll let you guys know. I'll put it on my Facebook and Instagram and Twitter.
Sounds good.
And I'll put it out to some members of or fans of, but definitely let you guys know first.
Awesome. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And so we'll definitely have you back, assuming you want to do the next 2 episodes so that we can actually see you in them.
Well, of course.
And stay tuned. I'm not sure if the next one will be up next week or it'll be the week after, whatever. But we'll definitely have them. Follow us on Facebook and everything else. We'll let you know when it's going up. We're filming this on Tuesday. It'll probably either go up tonight or you'll be watching it on a Wednesday at the latest. And then we'll let you know when the next ones will be up, based on schedules, and we can all get together and do this. But it's definitely coming. And Steve, we definitely thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
And I've been Gazbot.
Big Dawg Defender here.
And
to the power.
To the power.
I am always the real Baboo.
I forgot where credits are. So talk amongst yourself for a moment. Oh, here we go. I unmuted myself. You guys have to unmute yourselves.
Okay.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Now you can talk over the credits if you want.
I never miss an opportunity to talk over the credits.
There we go. I mean, I love this. As a monster, I cannot justify going to the power. I can't do it.
Monsters need power too.
Monsters need power too. All right. That's it. Thanks, everybody.
There you go.
Bye-bye.